Morning, everybody. It's Jason Jeffries for the Alliance Project. It's 3:30 in the morning, and yeah, I just had the feeling to make a video. I'm kind of blessed to have people that listen, so I figure I'd share what was on my mind. We'll go ahead and get right into it. Let's see. Right here, these two books I'm going to be something has lit the torch, led the way, and brought me to the point that I decided last night that I'm going to read these two books to you guys as audiobooks, PDFs, completely cover them and go over them completely in their entirety so people can understand so much more. I believe these books open up new doors for many people once they start reading them. They were initiated. They go through and show you how literally these initiated people were going through the sacred mystery school teachings and how these teachings were taught to the public, and how it's all about the harmony and balancing of your left and right brain, your left and right cerebral cortex, and to blend into a new way of thinking, an awakened, enlightened way of thinking. Let me pull my screen share up here so I can share these with you. One is called The Temple and Man by R.A. Schwaller de Lubix. He's actually knighted de Lubix, and I don't like getting too much into it, but that man was completely channeling the higher power, a higher source, or these teachings. When he was initiated, once you understand, depending on the level of your initiation into these mystery schools, depends on your understanding of these symbols, of everything around you, and the sacred geometry of life. Okay. Everything is the phi ratio. Everything is balance. Okay. When a tree grows, everything in nature grows. When everything in nature grows, but a tree, for instance, grows up. Let me pull up paint here. Okay, so I have a really abstract and weird way of looking at things most people don't look at. Okay. I want you to see life as I see it. It just always. I don't know how to, I really don't know how to do this. Trying to find a nice way, a happy medium way to explain things. The flower of life. I guess I can do it that way. Okay, so what is the phi ratio? How do you explain it? Everything has purpose, okay? So we'll call this one 0. Let's make it bigger, bolder. I hope this explains what's going on. If you see the pattern here, that's what's going on. Okay, life itself starts at nothing. 0, the center point, the center of gravity. Everything revolves around the original center of gravity, right? So that little red scribble there, just consider that the center of gravity. That's 0. 1 is the next evolution of any natural number, right? 1. You can't have something without having something. So phi, the phi ratio, the golden mean, the Fibonacci spiral, Fibonacci sequence, it is literally a pattern that follows the sum of the two numbers before it. 0 plus 1, 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 2 plus 3, 5, 3 plus 5, 8, 13 into 21. You know, you could keep going. Every one of these is a phi sequence or a Fibonacci sequence number. And throughout life, let me see if I can pull you up something here. I want to show you some images. These are perfect images right here. Okay. So nature, it is balanced. It operates. We operate on the same laws as the universe operates on, and so does everything above and below us. We all operate and manifest on the same level, okay? We are fractals of the universe. It's just like these conch shells. As this creature has a membrane inside its shell that secretes shell material to create the shell, it makes a volume, just as I showed you. 0, the center of gravity. 1, 1, 2, right? And keep going through the whole thing. 3, 5, 8, 13, you know. Going all the way up. Just say this is 144 out here. That way, the creature doesn't need to learn how to adjust to its growth, to its balance, how to attach the seafloor, how to balance itself. If it follows the Fibonacci spiral, it will always grow in balance, okay? Now let's look at a tree. No, let's look at a sunflower. Let's look at that first. Sunflowers follow the Fibonacci spiral. Depending on what you're looking at, say we can go count this. We're going to count this as 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows, 7 rows. One, 2, 3, 4. Point being, the spirals, right? You can see this spiral ever apparent in nature. And it usually follows, just as I showed you here, a pattern, all right, a set pattern. This one was kind of close, so let's exit this one. Let's go ahead to this and see if this one helps us do that same thing a little bit better. Ah, much better. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, the thing is, most plants, when you look at them, there's always 2 ways you can spiral things. So it's usually made up of 2 Fibonacci numbers, sequencing one way, say this right here, or any of them. Just you find one. You're going to be able to find a spiral one way and a spiral the other way. One of them is going to be larger than the other. One's going to be 8, one's going to be 5, say something like that. But they usually always go back to these Fibonacci sequence numbers. All right, when a tree grows, it grows upward. As it grows upward, let's pick green for a tree. As it grows upward, and it adds branches, what keeps that thing from what keeps it from bending over as the weight of one branch is added on? What keeps it from doing that? Well, it's simple. It is the phi, the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence. And oh man, I can't get this out of my head, so let me share this part with you. Sorry if this is hard to follow. This is something that I had to touch on because everybody always wants to pick out the negative in every aspect of everything. I mean, everything. So I want to share the light side and everything. I feel this is the only way to balance things. I guess some of us are just part of the Fibonacci sequence, if you will. We're trying to balance life. We're trying to balance the imbalance that is here. So naturally, just like the tree, as I'll show you, we grow in spirals. My computer's acting up right now, so give me 1 minute here. Anytime I get into good stuff like this, it wants to do this. Okay, sorry. So yeah, I want to just click on any old Disney logo, bring it up. Okay. A lot of paranoid people see 666, the mark of the beast. But I don't see that. Let me show you what I see. Do you see what I see? And it figures so. I apologize. Let me pull this up here. All right. So this is the phi symbol in the Greek. This right here. That is the Greek symbol for phi. The symbol of life, the symbol of balance. Okay. I see one reciprocated phi symbol, meaning flipped, and I see two regular phi symbols where they actually go out of the way to exaggerate the Y to make it look like it, where they make the top of the I look like it. They're showing the golden ratio is present throughout everything, and they knew this. Disney was initiated. Walt Disney himself, he must have been an initiated man. As I said, not to get too far off subject, but symbols, beautiful. It's beautiful. It's why, you know, people think that the Egyptians were half mentally developed, half like basically half awoken, materialistic men. That's not what they were. I mean, they had an understanding of the universe that is way beyond ours, okay? So these symbols that speak to them, they speak to us. With symbols, they force your left and right brain to work coherently. They make them work at the same time. It makes the red and the blue become purple. It makes the left and the right become one. It makes the logical meet the artistic. It meets the masculine meets the feminine. It's the golden ratio. It is phi. It is the Fibonacci sequence. Right here, okay? So this is perfect. Point of being, I was teaching you about symbols here, is that say 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144. You start splitting it, it appears all throughout nature. You can have masculine or feminine representations of it, okay? You start at a point. Let me go here. Let me get into my paint here. I'll try to just kind of recreate it. But you start at a point, and that point forever goes out, okay? And then you take the rest of it. And at certain points, you can make essentially just cut off and section off certain parts of the square. But the points being it, you can get into the Pythagorean theorem and all this. The point of it being is it is two representations of the same thing. Okay, we have male and female. The female being the free-flowing, circular, flowing vortex, the mother nature aspect of the vortexes. How I told you everything is tornadoes in nature. Everything is a tornado. Everything. Down to magnetism, electromagnetic induction from lights, and stimulating the ether in any way you can. This is one of the gurus I follow would say instantaneous reaction at a distance. It is completely everything. You get nature at its most basic form, and it is a tornado, okay? Phase conjugate, phase conjugation, okay? Coherence, that means to take a tornado, woo, and as it gets to the point, the 0 point, that center of gravity, it comes out the other edge just the same way, right? So you have a spiral. A big ass spiral, right? And it goes down and gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And once that spiral gets small enough to the point that it becomes conjugate and reflects out the other way, let's imagine a black hole or a magnet, okay? Let me go here. Stretch down. Okay, so as you have a tornado, essentially, picture a magnet, even on both sides of this magnet. Both sides of this magnet will have a tornado of energy, a vortex of energy, down to a point. Now, the other side will have the same thing. Okay, people think that these are both going the same way, but they're not. It is a spiral from the top down that once you get to the other point, it starts actually crossing the other way. And then it becomes looking like it is actually bisecting, but is actually completely going the same direction, all right? It's phase conjugation. It is perfect balance and harmony in nature. Not one thing can stand in nature without having this phi ratio, this golden mean, this golden ratio. Everything from, you got propulsion systems that literally rotate, all right, the direction of rotation, right, with the central pulsar inside of this propeller system, right? You sit it into Mercury, have a rotation this way, have a rotation that way, you get an active phase conjugation. It creates lift. It's like tying a slip knot in the end of a hose. You tie a slip knot in the end of a fire hose, what happens? You create lift. That fire hose then freely lifts in waves and shakes anyway, but it has to be a perfect slip knot. 8 outside, 5 inside, right? The self-feeding tornado, right? That's what they're talking about right here, this slip knot, this 5 outside and 8 inside, whatever you want to say. That is a tornado. It's phase conjugation. It is the golden mean. It is the same thing. All these spirals, all right? You have one this way, one that way. It is the same thing, all right? Once you get your heart, your soul, and all your energies actually working in this manner, you will have a vortex of energy around you, okay? What you want to happen is you want this vortex of energy to come up, go through the crown of your body, and do the same thing. Goes down through the core of your body, come out, wrap around you, and do it again. You want to become a self-feeding, self-sustaining tornado of energy, essentially, because that is how something becomes sustainable. It becomes implosive, right? It becomes, your DNA becomes a part of this, and then you can have a phase conjugate, fucking coherent aura around you that is able to actually carry memory into death. Solar physics. The Bible was solar physics, okay? People don't get this, but that's exactly what it is. It's self-organizing implosion, right? See where the beginning point is, right? The toroid. This is a toroidal field. This is around your body. This is around magnets. It's around the earth. It's around everything. This is nature. This is where the word Jedi came from, the Egyptian Jed period. The Jed Tower, the Jed Pillar. It's very, very apparent that the Egyptians had all of this, right? They had very much high understanding of the Jed pillar. Okay, it represented the spinal column and energy traveling up and down the spinal column. Ascension, the Kundalini, energy. Okay, snake, the serpent, always represented energy. This is energy, and as you see, it's being curved back at the end. These larger beings have smaller beings underneath them. It's they were giants of mind and of soul. They could have physically actually been larger too. I'm not going into the whole. There's two Egypts. There's always two Egypts. Okay, there's one Egypt that the scholars accept, teach, and force feed, put in the history books. And there's a second hidden Egypt that the Egyptians told us about, where they told us where their information came from, where everything came from. Okay, and people need to be apparent and just aware of this. All right, there's ways to make something. Aha, this is perfect. Phase conjugation, like when you match your brain spheres, right? When you get your left and right brain working at the same time, and you create this thing, right? So you have the golden ratio, the phi ratio, the golden mean in everything, right? This is a perfect example of what a tree would look like growing up from the top. Like, I will show you further in a moment, but the point of it being is it starts with the center of gravity, and it always adds a pedal. All right, so let's go ahead and do it right here. Anyways, web notes aren't allowed right now. They don't want me to show you. But the point being is, say this is 0. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 22. You know, you keep going up there. But the point of it being is, you have, as the tree adds 1, it's always going to continually. Let me go. It's going to continually add a leaf to balance it, right? Do you remember what I showed you? So, if it's a circle and it wants to put something here, it has to put something there, right? I know this is a lot to take in, but there's that symbol again, right? There's phi. This isn't in the Greek. This is the original, probably the Roman interpretation of it. But I have so much to cover in this little part that I want to actually give you a good understanding of it. So as it grows, as the tree grows, there we go. Remember, here's our symbol. Lamb, phi again, right? As our symbol goes through nature, its spirit is flawless. Remember I said that before. So it will always balance itself in complete spirals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and continually, gradually build itself in spirals to always have balance. The tree, the plant, the animal will never have to learn how to balance itself ever again, because the center of gravity stays the same because of the phi ratio. As you add something, it counterbalances because it is the sum of the two pieces that came before it. Everything in nature has this. Now, to get to the male, female aspects of the energy. Female energy flows freely. It would be the long, curvy route to the same point. Like if I wanted to get from here to there, right? Let's do it on a normal one here. If I wanted to get from here to there, simplest thing to do is to what? To go direct to that point, okay? Female energy doesn't do that. Female energy goes in a spiral, a perfect spiral, complete balanced spiral, all the way to the source. It takes a long time to get there, but eventually, as a female, manifestation of the same thing, okay? Male doesn't do that. The male energy is direct, straightforward, and to the point, okay? Male energy wants to get here to there, it goes there, you know? It wants to get from here to there, it goes there. It wants to get from here to there, it goes there. It wants to get from here to there, it goes there. It wants to get from here to there, it goes there. It goes there, there. Straight point, straight line. And at any point, it makes the same thing, all right? It crescendos, it crests at the same point, corner to corner, every time. All right. Look, you got this corner and this corner. Male energy would say, go straight to it. Female would bend its way to it, right? Male energy wants to create perfect structures, right? It wants to create direct and perfect. So instead of going at a 45-degree angle, it's going to go in straight, cut off at 90s. Squared circle. This is apparent throughout nature. Like I said, mathematics is the language of nature. If you graph these numbers, patterns become very, 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 very apparent. And if you, once you see that you plot these numbers and you see that the patterns emerge, then it becomes very, very, very present that these same patterns are present throughout nature. Okay, back to the sunflower. It will start at one point. It will put a seed and go out in the Fibonacci spiral all the way from the center. And this is a perfect example of that. Because it works its way from the center into this, right? So you can see, as I was telling you before, the two spirals. There's a spiral going this way and a spiral going this way. There's always going to be one of the spirals that has more, but both of these numbers are going to be Fibonacci numbers, okay? You could go through, count every one of these rows, these spirals that take you into the center point. And it's going to be a Fibonacci number. And then you're going to go the other way and do it. And it's going to be a Fibonacci number, but it's going to be a smaller Fibonacci number. With these two Fibonacci sequences intertwined, it makes it completely stable. It makes it completely balanced. And everything about nature is balanced. Balance is key. Go back to the island of Madagascar. It broke off from the mainland of Africa 150 million years ago. It's been sitting in its own habitat for 150 million years. You have iguanas. They crawl out of the sand. They get attacked by racer snakes. These racer snakes, I mean, a baby iguana can outrun a full-grown racer snake. The racer snakes don't have that good of eyes, but they need it. They need the food. They need the food. They need that. So what they do is they run to the sand, run to the rocks, get up there. The racer snakes move. Their eyes attack. It's a see movement. So as long as that iguana don't make his move without being sure of it, if he's very sure, certain, and direct, then he can beat the snake, right? When he gets up to the top, he sits up there with his iguana family, and then geckos come. Geckos come all over their back. They eat the flies. It's a very symbiotic circle and relationship. It looks like the geckos are annoying the iguanas, but they're not. They're being fly swatters. They're getting their meal and helping. They'll sit right on the face of these things. And then they have these red crabs. These Madagascar red crabs that'll come along and they'll pick the skin off the backs of the lizards. So the lizard gets exfoliated, gets the flies gone, they get their meal, everybody's happy. You can take a big ass iguana, a gecko, and a crab, and literally have the crab and the gecko walking all over the iguana, walking over, piles of them. And they're just sitting there in nature with the flies coming down. So you add the fly to the symbiote circle, and everything, blam, is balanced, okay? The snakes, the predator, it's even balanced. They play the numbers game. Yes, nobody wants to see baby iguana get killed by a bunch of snakes, but that's the way of nature, right? The predators do that. I have a whole thing I kind of read yesterday about that, and I'll read into it in a minute for you, but I'd really like you to take a moment and think about that. The only thing that's wrong with that island is the fire ants. These ants we brought from ships. They got on ships, they escaped from the ships. And now these ants have completely colonized the whole island because there's no predator for them there, no natural predator. And now they are completely colonizing the island. So when the crabs go to their migration towards the beach, these ants crawl over their face, they spit acid in their eyes and mouth, blind them, suffocate them. The crab dies blind and confused. Humans brought that change. The ants would not be there naturally, and the whole ecosystem would be balanced. So it's man's duty to now be the predator to those ants and help them not colonize the island. That goes back to vegans. Like, yes, there's vegan strongmen that like eat one meal a day, fucking lift weights and meditate and are completely like fucking bison. They're ripped, they're shredded, they're fit, and they need nothing else. Horses, for example, can do that. But I don't think that's the balance that we've been made as top predators on this planet. I don't believe that's our place. Okay, so I wanted to share this. This is what I wrote yesterday regarding the subject I was just talking about. I figured this would be the best format to get it out. So I know I do things weird, but just bear with me. People have been blinded. Everyone is so quick to associate things with good and evil, quick to categorize and not understand things from a wider perspective. Through the unifying lens of truth, most people would associate bloodshed, killing, violence as evil. I'd ask that person, would they just have all the predators starve off, only to let the prey graze the land dry, overpopulate, and ultimately die of famine? Is that your bloodless utopia you perceived? Anyone who believes the lie of strength through tolerance is a fool, I believe. Look at history. Did those beings regret their pacifism when invaders burnt their homes? Did they curse and see the flaws in the social constructs, policies, and democracies that offered them no protection? Like I said, their dead tongues don't speak, but history repeats itself. Do you remember what the noble lion did after the shepherd took the thorn out of his paw? Aesop's Fables. The lion knows and embraces what he is. It has its place to balance all beneath it. Life is a constant struggle and competition. Without these two key aspects, nothing thrives. Too much dark, there's chaos. Too much light, there's stagnation and apathy. Survival of the fittest ensures only that the strongest, fastest, smartest, and most adapted DNA and offspring is carried on to the next generation. From deer and rut competing over a doe, or a fight for the alpha in the wolf pack, struggle and competition is what brings life closer and closer to perfection. Wolf packs literally only let the alphas breed with one another. When others want to breed, they may challenge them one-on-one or become exiles and start their own pack out of inferiority to the alpha, get a drive to procreate and still thriving within them. We must live in the middle, somewhere in the middle, where the gray is, where the balance is, not wet, not dry, muddy. Any thoughts on this? Okay, so I wanted to show people and have an understanding that, even though you don't like watching the snake get the baby iguana, or just because you don't like watching the lion eat the deer, it's got a purpose. This is all here for balance. I've always said there's like 4 types of people in the world. And I've heard this through different stories, different representations of it. We have the wolf who feeds off the weak. They look for the weak link. They look for inferiority, and they feed off that. They feed off the weak. So you have somebody in society you would consider a wolf is somebody that take advantage of, a weak person, an old person, a bully, somebody, an easy target, right? Lions, wolves, they both do this. Then you have the sheep. They blindly follow, they accept, they think as a herd. They look around to see what the herd's doing and then follow the herd. It's the whole idea of our school systems in America. That's why when you have an intelligent kid, he's looking out the window, he's bored, he's doing this and that. They don't give him that special attention. They don't give him that special love. They do not focus on that kid because he's bored and completely beyond the teaching realm that they're teaching. They don't encourage you to question anything. They literally give somebody with a pretty average education control over 30 plus students, and to say that gives them an education in anything but other than how to look at the herd and operate as a herd and be controlled as a herd, then you're not seeing the big picture. One person controls a group of 30 or more, okay? Efficiently. Well, who do they punish? The kids that do not follow the herd, the kids that they don't follow it, right? They're not a part of it. They're not the sheep. And if they are the sheep, do you ever think that when the sheep are being herded as cattle, do you ever think they look over at the sheepdog and the man? And then do you ever think that one sheep just goes, bah, I think the dog's working with the man. I think the man and the dog are working they're on opposite sides. But I think they're communicating with each other, man. I think they're trying to corral us. I think the dog and the man are working together. They're against us, man. Okay? There are sheep like that who come through the awakening process and realize that they're not sheep. They don't want to follow. All the other sheep just think they're crazy. Be like, yeah, right, the dog and the man working together, you're fucking crazy. But in reality, it's the truth. Okay? So then that brings me to my next point. You have the sheepdogs, shepherd. You have the dog, the sheepdogs, and that's what I consider myself. You have the people that defend, that know their purpose, that defends what's right, what's good, no matter what. These are the people that fight in the armed services. These are the people that create change, that ponder thoughts, share things, do this, that try to comfort, help, and be a protector of society, nobility, righteousness. It will sacrifice itself to help others, even if those others do not like it, do not know it, and don't do. I mean, think about all the soldiers that are dying in the sand. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about them. Why? There's men sacrificing their life for what they believe is right, to what they believe is the defense of the innocent. And they don't know you. You think they signed up for the check? The check is nothing. Okay, $5 an hour for every hour you're alive. I'd rather stay home. Point of it being is there are men and women out there that do this, that we demonize, I mean, look what they did to Iraq. They completely destroyed this place. All right, and everybody knows the laws of cause and effect, karma, everything. All right, 9/11 was an inside job, okay? So when you go destroying Iraq, Afghanistan, and all these places in the Middle East, all that's left to happen is to bring it back to the source, okay? The land where the force came from, the land where the guns are manufactured, where they're sold, where the profit is, Why does Halliburton get paid to rebuild nations when they're the same ones that pay to make the bombs dropped on your children? Okay, a lot to think about, but I don't want to get off subject. You have one more, right? And some people will call them, I guess, rodents. You know, you have the wolf, the sheep, the sheepdog, and the rodents. You have the groundhogs, the gophers, the muskrats, the weasels, the rats, whatever you want to look at it as. But they scurry around. They're cowardice. They go from hole to hole, just existing, hoping that somebody doesn't notice them. They don't want to be a part of the collective, the group, anything. They feed off of the leftovers. They scurry around hole to hole. They're cowardly. A good point in this philosophy that I've heard another man speak of was the fact that these people that I'm talking about have no sense of righteousness or nobility. They have no sense of that. For example, they accept things. They scurry, they hide. They don't challenge, they don't stand tall. They don't stand strong. They're cowardly. All right, now, he brought up the point that he got in an argument with somebody talking about violence. Violence begets violence, this, that, and the other. Which it does, and that's all from a certain point of view. The fact of the matter is I only call it violence when it is done towards an innocent. It's only violence when it is an act of which that hurts an innocent person physically, right? So if these people, these pacifists, they don't believe in violence, what would you do if a crazy meth head fucking was going in your house to rape your family, kill you, fucking just completely do what they want and whatever fucking sick fucking fantasies they have, right? Well, what would you do? These people will be like, oh, I'd try to get out of the house. I'm not going to partake in violence. I'm not going to sink to that level. Well, that makes you a coward, okay? It's not violence. Violence is what the other person is doing to you. Violence is the act in which this person is causing against the innocent, right? Defending yourself or your family or others is noble. It's what a righteous man does, or woman, and it's not violence. It's called being a fucking coward when you sit there and let innocence be destroyed, when you know in your heart that it's wrong. You get back to the nature sequence of this. The Fibonacci spiral is ever present in nature. So as these trees grow, they grow one leaf, 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 one leaf. In the next direction, it's always up and over, up and over, up and over. It's the Fibonacci spiral. It does this, so the center of balance never changes. The center of gravity never changes. And the plant, the animal, everything about it is just geometry of nature, okay? So when you see that and you see it ever present throughout nature, then these things should start. I mean, these patterns are everywhere in everything. We could take advanced classes on how to show you like how long your finger should be compared to your nose or your eyeballs or things like that in the same aspect. You see, these are the different Fibonacci spirals, right? Different Fibonacci sequences. They started the spirals, and so what they were going and trying to give you an analogy of This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And then on the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you see the spirals going the other way. There's 2 sets of spirals. 13 one way, 8 the other. That's what they're talking about. Okay. So these Fibonacci numbers, 8 and what? 13. Okay. 0, 1. So 0 plus 1, 1. 1 plus 1, 2. 2 plus 1, 3. 3 plus 2, 5, right? 5 plus 3, 8. And what's 8 plus 5? 13. So we have 8, 13. 8, 13. Jason, you're getting on to something here. We got 13. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then if we went the other way, let's see if we can do it. We got 1. Let's put it on a bigger one here. Make a web note, and I'll try to follow it. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. I think I proved my point enough that these patterns are everywhere in nature. Not everybody sees them. I'm trying to allow you to see them. Symbolism activates both parts of your brain. Read symbols, read hieroglyphs, read books. You guys, I really, 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 really want you to read The Temple in Man by R.A. Schwaller-Delubitz, and also want you to read Serpent in the Sky by Adam West. I'm going to read them, but if you guys can, in your free time, catch up on those. The Kybalion, I'll be doing more of that later, showing you where the basics of Hermetic teachings and how, and most people don't know it, but there's Hermetics, one of the most, all right, Sir Isaac Newton was a Hermeticist. I feel like I sell it short, but I feel that I'm a Hermeticist. If you were going to label me with anything, it would be that. I believe this, I understand it. It is spiritual and scientific understanding, artfully intertwined. And the teachings hold true today as they did then. These were the sacred, forbidden knowledges. These were the mystery schools. Pharaohs in dynastic Egypt would rather die, literally die, than give out this knowledge to these Roman pharaohs that were coming, these people that wanted to, the Romans that were trying to impose their will and just absorb all the nature they had from them. Everything they built back then was in line with sacred geometry, the phi ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, and the golden mean, however you want to look at it. Everything was intertwined. Even the pillars, all right? I can prove this to you. I'll actually go into, let me prove this to you real quick. I was going crazy this morning and I had to share this video. All right. So let me get here. I just want to show you a nice overlay. Serpent in the sky might be the easier way to do it. Show you how the temple in Luxor literally associates with the human body. Every structure inside has a fucking anatomy plan. Every part of it is. There's nothing useless in anything they built. Even the size, the height, the pillar, every measurement, every angle, everything is correlated. Our original civilization was built upon the fact of creation. It was built upon the concept of creation. Okay? Man himself has been degenerated. We were created perfect, essentially, and degenerated into what we were because of the process that our physical nature was manifested into this world. So essentially, the temple at Luxor is the temple of universal life, okay? Everything. What most people don't get is in Egyptian culture, you had Osiris and Isis. Isis was the sister wife of Osiris. They married, they had a kid. His name was Horus. That is the Holy Trinity. Isis, Osiris, and Horus. The Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Right? The whole thing, the whole idea, mind, body, and spirit. Okay? What most people won't tell you is that the Egyptian dynasties, every pharaoh since the time of Horus believed and absolutely believed with every essence of their being that they were the real incarnation of Horus. They absolutely believed this with everything they were. But look, I can value the golden number, right? You can see where this corresponds into every painting they have. The phi ratio, the golden mean, golden ratio. You're not seeing the lines there. But they're showing you that in every aspect of everything they did, they drew in everything, every symbology, even the faces and the parts. That's the idea of these mystery schools, these temples, these places of worship. You know, Pythagoras talked about studying and preparing for 20 years to be accepted into these mystery schools so he could accept the teachings, so he can get the teachings that he brought to the new world. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, the Pythagorean theorem. Everything that this man brought, okay? He even mapped out the ley lines for the earth, because you can do this with not a dodecahedron, but I can't really remember. It might be a dodecahedron. But he came out with the 5 platonic solids. The platonic solids, you map them over the earth from North Pole to South Pole being the nodal points, and then completely make a grid pattern from that using sacred geometry of triangles. That you could just do is use all 5 platonic solids and actually map it over. Every one's a different consciousness grid for the planet. Some for animals, different things like that, and they all follow their own shapes. Okay, humans are triangles. So to get into that, you could just take a circle. I can't do it right now, but I'll get more into that, right? The point of it being is that they understood the transfer of consciousness. This winged disc that I was always talking about, that's why there's so much things about it. The winged disc above Isis's head, I was talking about death and reincarnation. That wasn't the Nibiru thing. There's a wing gate and the winged disc. The winged gate is something else we entirely, and I believe that has to do with the Nibiru system, and I believe that has to do with this planet. But not this. This is, people always get kind of upset with me when I show them that, because literally one of the most important symbols in Egypt was that. It was the sun. Go down here a little bit. I like giving you guys representation, something to look at when I'm talking, so you don't think I'm a crazy person. Which I know you all think I'm crazy. Okay. So this represents the sun. These are the snakes coming off the wing disc, however you want to do it. I know it's a crappy representation, but bear with me. This is your soul, your sun soul, your body, your etherical soul, your being. Okay. This represents death, and as you died, how the energy, as I told you, the serpent always represented energy. The serpent, so it was a singularity turning into a duality. It was the transfer of consciousness. The Egyptians knew more than anything that we have to work on our soul. We have to learn. We have to. Everything about this is, we started it as a single-celled organism. We started as a cephalopod. You know, we climbed out of the lake, the primordial ooze, and we split off. We branched off. Okay? Something else did that on another planet. Was already in a humanoid form. Came here, manipulated our DNA. It helped us. But the person that did it helped us, landed in the part that we have the ability to go through this ascension process. It didn't cut off our DNA. We have the ability to use this amazing jumpstart and capabilities that we shouldn't have to advance ourselves. It was the idea of the sun, the solar sun, your soul, transferring of energy and coming back into a sun again, right? It's the idea of all this. Most people completely fail to see the concept, but it's there. Everything about these things were very metaphysical. But the point, what I want to get at the Temple of Karnak and Luxor, Egypt, and things like that, is they used the phi ratio everywhere. And every building had its own axis. Every room of every building had its own axis. So we didn't build, like now we build on one axis. They were building multiple axes. So here's a room, here's a room, here's a room, here's the room, here's the room. They were building multiple axes. Built based on the phi ratio, the golden mean. As you see, right? Doubles, the sum of the two squares plus the least was the next square. The whole temple does this. You can do it in columns all the way down the temple. So the same temple that they built is present within your body, these same energies, everything about it. Okay? No, you can show artist representations of what they were showing and what they were teaching, these mystery teachings. Honestly, I don't even think that people are going to be very happy that I'm releasing this information the way I do, because I'm going to go completely and read it all, show you how this pre-Egyptian Atlantean civilization did exist, how everything about your soul, your body, your light body, and the ascension process, your spinal columns, everything is completely fractal. Okay, everything is the same picture of a larger whole. Okay, everything about it. I want to get you to a point where you can actually see some of the measurements. I might be in the wrong book. I might have to go to the other one. Like I said, both these men were initiated. So, if you will, the light of Thoth, the light of Thoth, the torch of Thoth has been passed on to this man, just like it was Drunvalo, Melchizedek, just like it was to his predecessors and anybody who follows him. This is perfect. Okay, so you have 0, and then you have 1, right? And then you go 3, or 2, right? And then you got 3, and then you got 5, and then the 8, and then you go down the line, right? 13. The whole point of it being, it is a diagram showing you the same bone ratio within the temple that is within our bodies, that is within nature, that is present throughout everything in the universe. Even a child can fit inside the top aspect, and you can break it down the same way. Everything to do with their construction and divinity. See the notice? See, there's a natural break. They interrupted it there. See? So I'll read the conclusions of the book before we ever even read them. Okay. The Pharaonic temple has a dyadic purpose, hence every detail is important. Meaning it's every aspect, measurement, block, piece, placement, and line is on purpose. Completely has a purpose. Okay. The entire value is accorded to the teaching. The technical aspect is subordinate to its aim. There is an inscription by means of text and figurations, a method for translating a philosophically ordained thought, meaning that symbolism can activate in the mind of the beholder, depending on the level of initiation, a philosophical message. Symbolism is a method of transcription of the thought of the ancient Egyptians in writing and in figuration, as well as in architecture. There's a pre-calculated program realized through time by successive kings and the heirs of their tradition. The monument is constructed contrary to our current principles of architecture on several axes, that each axis has a meaning, and then the meaning dictates the meaning of the parts subordinate to it, and that there is, in Pharaonic Egypt, geoetic, astronomical, and physiological knowledge surpassing that which Egyptology has hitherto been able to concede. Meaning, there's 2 Egypts. There's one in the history books, and then there's the real deal. Nita means principle of life, and the temple is its house. Keep your gun oiled and your temple clean. I could go on and on, but the point here is when you get that calling, just as I did today to make this video, it's going to reach maybe I'll only really reach 2 people. That 2 people, it set off a catalyst in their mind, and I did my point. I did my part. Thank you for whoever those 2 people may be, or maybe it's more, but the point is, do you serve a purpose, or do you purposely serve? I'd like to say I serve a purpose. Most people purposely serve. Free will gives you that power, though. I'll be uploading another video here in a couple minutes. NASA has a big press conference release today, just as I told you they would. Preparing the masses, predictive programming, suggestive thinking, just changing your perspective. Don't let it. You guys have a good day, and namaste, brah. That means bowed greeting. So it just means a bowed greeting of respect. Don't take it religious.